As you found out what it meant as you grew older, did you have some idea of what it might mean, what it could mean, as opposed to what it may have turned out to mean?
You know, my grandfather was an interesting man. He, of course, dominated our lives. And he felt that as these rights were vindicated, that we had an obligation to measure up, to use them. I'll give you a separate example. When the Savannah Public Library finally desegregated and we were allowed to go to the main library, his point was that we were obligated to use it. That is, we had to show up no matter what, and we had to read books because we finally had a right to do so. So when it came to education, as the rights became available, we had an obligation to use them properly. So he would say to me in 1964 when I went to a seminary which was previously all white, he said, "Don't shame me and don't shame the race."
Clarence Thomas is an American jurist who serves as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States of America. He was nominated by President George H.W. Bush to succeed Thurgood Marshall and has served since 1991. After Marshall, Thomas is the second African American to serve on the court and its longest serving member since Anthony Kennedy's retirement in 2018. Thomas was born in Pinpoint, Georgia. After his father abandoned the family, he was raised by his grandfather in a poor gulag community near Savannah, in Georgia. Growing up as a devout Catholic, Thomas originally intended to be a priest in the Catholic Church, but was frustrated over the church's insufficient attempts to combat racism. He abandoned his aspirations of becoming a clergyman to attend College of the Holy Cross and later Yale Law School, where he was influenced by a number of conservative authors, notably Thomas Sowell, who dramatically shifted his worldview from progressive to conservative. Upon graduating, he was appointed as an assistant attorney general in Missouri and later entered private practice there. He became a legislative assistant to Senator Danforth in 1979 and was made assistant secretary for civil rights at the U.S. Department of Education in 1981. President Ronald Reagan appointed Thomas as clergyman of Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the EEOC, the next year, 1982. President George H.W. Bush nominated Thomas in the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit in 1990. He served in that role for 19 months, filling Thurgood Marshall's seat on the Supreme Court. Thomas' confirmation hearing was bitter and intensely fought, centering an accusation of sexual harassment by Anita Hill, a subordinate at the Department of Education and the EEOC. Turns out she lied. Allegations were denied, asserting Hill and her political supporters have fabricated the accusations to prevent the appointment of a black conservative to the court. The Senate confirmed Thomas by a vote of 52 to 48. Wow. Moving forward, guys, because there's so much to cover. So let's see him in action. Editor, roll clip. Fair use.
60s were different. And there were a lot of things happening involving race, the breakdown in the structure in society. I was suddenly out of the seminary and in New England. And there were no rules. Things were falling apart. And you know, without structure, it's very, very difficult to navigate. I was extremely fortunate to be at Holy Cross. I was extremely fortunate to still have had a residuum of the way I was raised by and the structure that the nuns had given me, the structure that the seminary had given me. I was also extremely fortunate because I'd already been in predominantly white schools. I was the only black kid in my high school in Savannah. So the transition to a school with very few blacks in a very difficult set of circumstances, academically and otherwise, I had sort of a jump start. I was ahead of the game, so I had something. So it allowed me to continue to do well, even though it was very, very difficult. Now, I do want to get to Harvard, though. I don't want to get lost in that. I was a bit of a radical, but that's what happened back then. You were black, things were changing, and we were very, very upset. that changed actually at a riot in Harvard Square when I finally realized this is going too far, and that I'm full of this hatred that, as my grandfather would often tell me when he saw me, you were not raised to be that way. And it was, I can give you the exact date, it's the road to Damascus date was the morning of April 16, 1970, the day after Harry Blackmun was announced for the Supreme Court. We were in the exact same newspaper, that's how I knew. So having come back from that riot at Harvard Square, not understanding exactly what I had just done, I stood in front of the chapel at Holy Cross, and that's where I made a promise to God that I would, if he could help me get this hatred out of my heart, I would never hate again.
Justice Thomas, thank you for being with us on Explorations in Black Leadership.
Well, thank you.
I want to begin with a question about Brown v. Board. I know it was decided the year before you entered elementary school, but did you have some sense that this was a big deal?
Well, not at the time. The big deal was learning the multiplication table and how to add, those sorts of things. But as the years went on, particularly 56, 57, you got a sense of it because there was quite a bit of talk about it. My grandfather was very involved with the NAACP, for example, so you heard that. You also heard, or as I mentioned when I wrote my memoirs, that we saw the impeach Earl Warren signs along Highway 17 going to Liberty County. And I always wondered who this Earl Warren was. And later on, of course, I would figure it out that it was the Chief Justice of the United States, and he was in trouble in part because of Brown.
I guess there's no way I could say, did you ever think that you'd be sitting in the building where Earl Warren worked?
Well, not only didn't I think of that, I didn't think that I would ever see the building where he worked.
It's a real pleasure and a privilege to be here on the stage with you. Congratulations on being on the court for 25 years. I'd like to begin our conversation with perhaps some reflections on those 25 years. What surprised you the most about your time here?
You know, I don't spend a lot of time thinking back over the time. We're too busy doing our work. I'm not a navel gazer. I mean, that's just we've got enough navel gazers in the society. We have, you know, I think over the last few years, some things have happened at the court, certainly last year, that changed the way that we work, and we have to be focused on that. Now, maybe there were things you were thinking of talking about, but if I reflect back on the years, the thing that I enjoy most are my law clerks. Love my law clerks. They make it fun. It's the energy. I mean, the first year was really tough. I don't know how we survived that, but but I see those clerks today, and the affection you have for them is just tremendous because they were there at the beginning when we didn't have systems, we didn't have computers, when we had 4 cases a day. But through the years, I think I have to say the consistency, the effort to have a consistent judicial philosophy.
The hearing will come to order. Let me ask the Capitol Hill Police that there's not absolute order and decorum in here. We will recess the hearing, and those who engage in any outburst at all will be asked to leave the chamber. Good morning, Judge. Today, the Senate Judiciary Committee is meeting to hear evidence on sexual harassment charges that have been made against Judge Clarence Thomas, who has been nominated to be an associate judge of the Supreme Court.
God has gotten me through the days since September 25th, and he is my judge. Mr. Chairman, something has happened to me in the dark days that have followed since the FBI agents informed me about these allegations. and the days have grown darker as this very serious, very explosive, and very sensitive allegation, or these sensitive allegations, were selectively leaked in a distorted way to the media over the past weekend. As if the confidential allegations themselves were not enough, this apparently calculated public disclosure has caused me, my family, and my friends enormous pain and great harm. I have never in all my life felt such hurt, such pain, such agony. My family and I have been done a grave and irreparable injustice. During the past 2 weeks, I lost the belief that if I did my best, all would work out. I called upon the strength that helped me get here from Pinpoint, and it was all sapped out of me. It was sapped out of me because Anita Hill was a person I considered a friend, whom I admired and thought I had treated fairly and with the utmost respect. Perhaps I could have been better weathered this if it was from someone else, but here was someone I truly felt I had done my best with. Though I am by no means a perfect person, no means, I have not done what she has alleged. And I still don't know what I could possibly have done to cause her to make these allegations. When I stood next to the President in Kennebunkport, being nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States, that was a high honor. But as I sit here before you, 103 days later, that honor has been crushed. From the very beginning, charges were leveled against me from the shadows. Charges of drug abuse, anti-Semitism, wife beating, drug use by family members, that I was a quota appointment, confirmation conversion, and much, much more. And now, this. I have complied with the rules. I responded to a document request that produced over 30,000 pages of documents. And I have testified for 5 full days under oath. I have endured this ordeal for 103 days. Reporters sneaking into my garage to examine books I read, reporters and interest groups swarming over divorce papers looking for dirt, unnamed people starting preposterous and damaging rumors, calls all over the country specifically requesting dirt. This is not American. This is Kafkaesque. It has got to stop. It must stop for the benefit of future nominees and our country. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, it's Jose, your regular Joe Blow again, keeping an eye out and my ears open to Justice Clarence Thomas. Much respect, sir. Full salute. Thank you, sir, for your service, for your strict and no-nonsense take on conserving our Constitution. We need you, and we need more people like you to always uphold our Constitution the way it is. No matter how you feel about it, it's our Constitution, and we need to uphold it and learn from Clarence Thomas. So guys, do your research, and there's more in the description below. There's so much honor here. There's so much on Clarence Thomas that it will take multiple videos to do. So let's continue to bring more conservatives to you guys. Thank you guys. I appreciate you for letting me serve you and do my best to bring you the best. Stay free.
It ain't hard to tell. I excel, then prevail.